picture which brings back memories. There is one of the last of the Mumbles trains about to leave the old Rutland Street depot on its 5.5 miles journey along the shores of Swansea Bay to Oystermouth, Southend and Mumbles Pier. Alas, this historic line, which has now lasted for well over 150 years as a passenger-carrying concern, has been amputated. It only went from Swansea to Southend, and the Mumbles Pier terminus, which I used to adore as a youngster, was no longer there. Now, even these cars, electric cars, are modern to me, for I remember the days when it was all driven by steam. A wonderful, puffing, belching old tank engine used to be attached to 5 or 6 toast rack type open tram cars. And when we were boys, our pride was always to sit right at the front on top. We braved the smut that came belching out to the engine. It didn't matter. A black face meant pride, courage, glory. First stop was the slip. And little boys here used to run along turning somersaults. This is, of course, back in 1920, shouting, "Halfpenny a penny-o!" as we went under the big bridge and from the slip to this very spot. And if we were lucky, we used to stand at the top and peep over the old recreation ground and the St. Helens rugby and cricket ground. And if we were very lucky, we could see for nothing, without paying, from the top of the train, Glamorgan play. Then we used to come to Bryn Mill. This was always rather a snooty stop. And on we went to Oystermouth, which was our usual terminus. But the really exciting point came when we hit the sea, because the railway runs right along the sea coast to Oystermouth. You could look out from here for your first glimpse of the lovely curve of Swansea Bay. Yes, it's all over now. Nobody tried to save it. This, the oldest passenger line in the whole of the world. And I wonder, as it comes to an end and the buses take its place, what the folk of Swansea feel about it all.
I think it's a shame. We're going to miss it, and in the summer, I don't know how they're going to manage without it.
The buses will never cope with the traffic that the railway has done.
And with it being the oldest railway in the world, I think it should be kept on.
I reckon it won't cope with a crowd, anyhow. Not myself, anyhow, from experience.
Yes.
Well, I think that the people who are going to miss it most will be not the people that use it, but the motorists, because they'll be behind the buses and coming to a stop every few minutes along the road. They'll love it.
Now the rails are torn up and they lie rusting under the limestone cliffs that lead to the old Mumbles Pier. Boys will no longer run alongside shouting, "Halfpenny a penny-o!" The Sunday school treats, which were a feature of the old railway, will no longer sit on top in the rain, keeping their best spirit alive by singing songs like Calon Lan.
Calon Lan, Aslam Daioni, take a hue, a lily goes, Dimon Calon Lan Ascami, Anaki, Kalbelanan.
I remember on this very stretch riding with Dylan Thomas on the top, covered with smoke, improvising verses to the rhythm of the rails. Terrible verses they were. One which started, "At the corner of Pell Street a vampire appears, singing garlic, sweet garlic, it's sung there for years. See, it taps at the windows of Councillor Rees, and it sings as it taps a most sinister piece." But we used to come back from Oystermouth, Southend and the Mumbles Pier, drenched with rain, umbrellas up on the top seats, but always in triumph. And maybe as the people stand in the queues waiting in the rain for the buses, or are delayed in their cars in longer queues, still trying to get past them on the narrow roads, maybe they'll regret the uncomfortable but altogether human Mumbles Railway.